So you've already watched my results video on the America's Strongest Man 2021 heavyweight results and event-by-event breakdown. Let's take a look at how everything broke down for the middleweights. They had some awesome performances. Starting off with the fingers, the first two fingers weighed 432 pounds, the next one 442, and the next one 452, so heavy fingers here. Johnny Wazico takes away 1 point, 2 fingers in 26.51 seconds. He went versus Frank Provenzano, who has kind of come up under Johnny's tutelage, and they do compete together and train together as well in New Jersey. So I won't show favoritism in my opinions toward the New Jersey boys, but it's just a matter of fact that Johnny Waz, Frank Provenzano, and Tyler Cotton are the best. It's just a matter of fact, not my opinion. So he has been competing since 2012, started off as a heavyweight, now a middleweight. He recently won the official Ultimate Strongman Masters and 105 World Championships. Johnny Waz very, very accomplished. Both he and Frank were using Olympic lifting shoes, and on this polished concrete floor, conjured some confusion from Rob Kearney and Anthony Furman on that decision-making. Nate Bowling came away with 2 fingers in 25.42 seconds. So as you can see, not everybody finished all 4 fingers. He went third versus Tommy Sharp. He was struggling and only got 2. Matt Muller got 2 fingers in 23.55 seconds going against Alex Bromley. He was already struggling on the first finger, and then once he got to the third, he knew he couldn't do it, laid it on his shoulder so the event staff could have time to put the pad under it before he walked away. Alex Bromley, who went against Matt Muller, came away with 3 fingers in 44.22 seconds. He got in on the amateur qualifier. He was, both these guys were slower than the first pairing we saw. He didn't really have the pop on the cleans that he would have needed, and he bowed out after 3. Tyler Young went fourth versus James Deffenbaugh, and Tyler was the second amateur to get in versus via the online qualifier, and very happy. I'm a big fan of Tyler Young. Glad to see him competing here. They kept joking about his height, saying he's 5'2", he's the height of the shield that he's carrying, or the Husafeld that he's carrying. He's not that short, guys. I'm 5'8", he's probably around my height, I don't know. But anyway, a little shorter than some of the other competitors, and that makes Fingal Fingers difficult. He did throw off his belt after the second one, his hard belt, and the third one he did a lot better with, so that seems to have really made a difference. He started walking away and I guess he thought the time was up, was told it wasn't, went for the fourth, got it up to his chest, and then time ran out. The aforementioned Frank Provenzano, who went against Johnny Waz, came away with 3 fingers in 29.97 seconds. Moving on up to Jeffrey Lee, who apparently we haven't seen on the scene since 2017, back with a vengeance, did very well in this show. Awesome to watch him. Apparently beat Kevin Ferris at Nationals one year. He went first in the first pairing against Nick Camby, both guys very fast on this event. He made up time on the second one, but then was overtaken by Nick after that. 4 fingers in 33.04 seconds for Jeff Lee. Tommy Sharp comes away with 4 fingers in 31.18 seconds. He went third versus Nate. He was very smooth. The fourth one slowed him down a little bit, but no slips on the polished concrete floor. He has these implements in his gym, so a little more used to them than some of the other guys. Then you have Nick Camby coming away with 9 points, 4 fingers in 29.44 seconds for Nick. Again, we mentioned he went against Jeff Lee. He was very smooth. He had like a big sprawl back like a wrestler, like an amateur wrestler would have, maybe to compensate for the slippery floor, but whatever he did worked. Had a very good time here, only to be overtaken by James Deffenbaugh, who comes away with 10 points. A huge solid start for James, 4 fingers in 29.33 seconds. He was in the fourth pairing against Tyler Young, who we mentioned. He has this implement in his gym. He's tall and athletic. He moved through all fingers very fast. Most guys, including James, were pushing the last finger down. So a little note on that. The finger hitting the pad signifies stopping the timer. So it only matters on the last finger. Because, for example, let's say you have the third finger going over and you walk away from it. There's no way you're going to push the fourth finger up and over and have it hit the pad before the third one hits. So there's no reason to push the third or the second or the first one down. But for the fourth, it matters quite a bit. Most of the guys had this technique nailed and were clotheslining it or aggressively pushing that last finger down. So that's how the fingers broke down for America's Strongest Man 2021 middleweights. Let's have a look at the next event, the log press. Log press was 315 pounds in 60 seconds. They had to clean and press each rep. Nate Bowling comes away with 0 points here. He went second. They mentioned he's recovering from a bicep injury. He had 3 attempts, really couldn't get it. The cleans were smooth, but couldn't really get a rep after that. Rob Kearney was saying in the commentary he should adjust his hand placement, and he did. I doubt he heard it, but I guess the intuition of strongmen. Matt Muller also comes away with 0 on this one as well. He went third, had a wide stance. He was close on the first press attempt. He cleaned it again, but then bowed out, pointing to his left shoulder, so possibly a shoulder injury there. Johnny Waz comes away with 0 as well, so he went first. Always difficult to go first on these events. He's had shoulder problems in the past. Anthony Furman said these log handles are actually 2 inches wider apart than normal, which isn't good for split jerkers like Johnny. We saw different techniques, right? So some guys were split jerking, some were push pressing, someone, and they had different techniques there. So it'll be interesting to see how the different techniques panned out. 4.5 points for 1 rep went to Frank Provenzano, fellow New Jersey trainer with Johnny Waz. He went 6th. He had an easy first rep, has a small injury from the fingers coming into this event. 2 attempts at the second rep, close but no cigar there. He seemed angry at the log afterwards, so I don't know, maybe the hand placement was throwing him off with the width, but he's got the Iron Man tight, so looking cool. James Deffenbaugh splits that 4.5 points also with 1 rep. He went last in the order, so he looked maybe a little bit lightheaded on his first miss. Second attempt was there, but a soft lockout, so they didn't give it to him. Third attempt, successful, collapses over the bar. A success for him after having to try it 3 times, so great perseverance for James. 6.5 points go to Tommy Sharp. He does 3 reps. He went 8th. He was using the split jerk. The first dip took him off his heels a bit, but he figured it out and got it done. 6.5 points get split with Jeffrey Lee. So Jeffrey Lee does 3 reps. He went 7th. He's using a push jerk. So instead of a split jerk, which is 3-dimensional this way with the legs, a push jerk is this way with the legs. More of an Olympic type style. He's sat in the dip for a second, so that's good for some guys, not so good for some other guys. But he has very long levers, so maybe not the best event for him, but he did well anyway. 8.5 points goes to Tyler Young. 5 reps here. He went 5th in the order. Rob said Tyler's messed around with 400 pounds plenty of times. And Anthony Furman said that the other advantage for Tyler is he doesn't have to weight cut, so he walks around at a weight low enough to compete middleweight. So interesting. He seemed to me like he had 1 more in him. I think he may have gotten 6, but he bowed out after 5 without trying a 6th. The 8.5 points get split with Alexander Bromley, who also did very well in this event. 5 reps for him. He had heavy wrapping on his arms, very strong shoulders, barely dipping at all on this, so extremely strong shoulders for Alexander Bromley. And then Nick Amby walks away with 10 points, 6 reps. He went 9th in the order. He was fast, efficient. His technique was different from everybody else's, and Rob Kearney, intelligent enough to point them all out for guys like me that didn't notice. So I noticed that Nick Camby was kind of putting the log down and never letting go and going right back up in efficient motions, no rest in between. But what I didn't notice is his feet never moved until Rob Kearney mentioned it. Never moved from that location, so an extremely efficient technique for Nick Camby, and it got him the win, 10 points. So that's how the log press for reps shook out at America's Strongest Man 2021 for the middleweights. Let's have a look at the deadlift. It's a max deadlift starting off at 675 pounds. And of course, once they got up to 725, 745 around there, they brought the heavyweights in so that the middleweights would get a rest, and they kind of alternated from there. But Matt Muller comes away with 2.5 points. He does the 675, but that's it for him. The 725 barely moved. Moving on up, Johnny Waz also 2.5 points. He does complete the 675 lift. He went first in the order again, so, not great to go first. But he got 675 slow and steady, passes on 725 and doesn't get any higher. Tommy Sharp also 2.5 points for 675, going 7th in the order. His first attempt didn't move much. Then he comes back, and it was the slowest, most grinding deadlift ever, but he got the 675. I felt like it was the moment of the event, and no attempt at 725. James Deffenbaugh also gets the 675 for 2.5 points, so you see lots of guys split at that level. He had a really rounded back and high hips, so he maybe with a little bit better technique would have gotten the 725, which Tyler Young did. So Tyler goes 9th. Very narrow stance, like an Adam Bishop type of stance. Pulled 800 on a mammoth bar before, but that's a different bar than this. He had a nice solid pull at 675. His shoulders stayed over the bar a little longer than normal. He got the 725, solid and steady, but a little slower than expected. Couldn't get the 745 to his knees. He was a little woozy, tried again, but no go there. So 725 for Tyler Young. Alex Bromley also 725. He had a great lift at 675, easy at 725. Couldn't break the ground at 745. So they were 20-pound increments. Nate Bowling comes away with 7 points. He got 745 after doing very good lifts in the previous lifts. He had a small hitch at 745, but he got it. He only got a couple inches off the floor on his 765 attempt, and then they brought in, as I said, the heavyweights to do their 765s. So a little bit of a rest there as some guys started dropping out for the middleweights. Jeff Lee got the 765, 8 points for him. He had a nice pull at 675, 725. It seems like they were just as easy for him till he got that at the end. Very smooth and efficient technique for Jeff Lee. Frank Provenzano gets 785 for 9.5 points, a share of the lead. He went fourth. 675 was a speed rep for him. Easy 725, very comfortable. Passed at 745, still easy at 765. Nice smooth pull at 785, and I don't think his fingers were even all the way around the bar for that, and it was still not a problem. His chest positioning was awesome. Just it seems like he really preps a lot for max deadlift. He tried 805 but couldn't get it past his knees, and that's the mythical 800-pound for the middleweight mark, which it's like you're either above that or below it. Only a few guys have ever pulled it in competition. And that score gets shared with Nick Camby. Surprise, surprise. He's going to do very well in a lot of these events, as he has done all year long. Went 10th in the order. Easy pull at 675, 725. 745, started looking hard, but no hitches. Nick doesn't really hitch much, and when he does, it's one hitch. He's very, very efficient compared to some of his competitors. So that's how the deadlift shook out. Let's have a look at the Sandbag Load. So Sandbag carrying load was a 250-pound bag, 300, 325, and 355 for the middleweights. 20-foot carry and loaded over a 48-inch bar. Tyler Young, only 1 point here. He got 2 bags in 20.59 seconds. The third bag pick looked really hard for him. Again, the height, trying to get it over a bar that high, a little difficult, and even the wingspan, a little difficult when the bags get very large. 2 points go to Nate Bowling, who does 2 bags a little faster, 18.96 seconds. He went 7th in the order. Decent speed on the first 2. He tried to bear hug the third one, so instead of turning it over horizontally and picking it up like this, he tried to bear hug it vertically. And after a traditional pick attempt, he tried that bear hug, but, didn't work, and seemed like he felt something in his hamstring going. Johnny Was again going first. Didn't try the last one. He was asking for crowd love. Got the 3, though, in 38.75 seconds. 3 points for him. 4 points go to Matt Muller. 3 in 34.90. Medium speed, but no issue with the weight on the first 3. Bear hugs the 4th, but can't get it off the ground. 5 points go to Tommy Sharp. He does 3 bags in 33.75 seconds. He went 4th in the order. He had a deeper knee bend on the walk than normal, so he was kind of really bouncing quite a lot, a little bit wobbly. He picked the 4th one up in a bear hug, but then flipped it over to me when realizing that it wouldn't go that way. But Robin Anthony seemed to think like, oh, what a great technique. He picked it up and flipped it for efficiency. I didn't see it that way. I saw it as he tried a technique, it didn't work, and he adjusted. We have 6 points going to Alexander Bromley, who went barefoot, funny enough. He had good picks and speed. He tried to throw up the 4th one, catch it, and flip it over the bar, but it dropped, so he bowed out. 7 points go to Frank Provenzano. He does the 3 in 29.42. He went 9th in the order. Easy on the first 3, but tried and bowed out on the 4th. Then we have James Deffenbaugh, who did 3 in 23.58 seconds, 8 points for him. He went 3rd. Bear hug worked really well for him for the first 3, but he had to readjust on the 4th and couldn't get it over after a good walk with it. 9 points go to Jeff Lee, does the 4. So the first guy to do all 4 bags. He does it right at the clock, 60 seconds. There was a little drama there, and then they gave it to him. So there you go. Went 8th. He had a bear hug on the 3rd and the 4th. Awesome big pop over the bar at the 60-second clock. Great technique. So some of the other guys who tried to pop it over, it would drop. His pop, especially with his height and his levers, really worked in his advantage. And Nick Camby again went 10th, gets all 4 bags, 41.14 seconds, so considerably faster than Jeff Lee, walks away with 10 points. That's how the sandbag loading race shook out at America's Strongest Man 2021 middleweights. Let's have a look at the bag over bar. Or bag over rafter, shall we say. They call it a bar, but it's actually a rafter that's part of the building structure. So it was 15 feet high. The starting weight for the middleweight's a 40-pound bag, and it was basically how heavy of a bag could you throw over. And Nate Bowling here out of the competition after an injury in the last event, so hopefully he's okay and he can recover soon. Matt Muller gets the 40-pound bag over for 2.5 points. Same with Alex Bromley, 40-pound bag for 2.5 points. Tyler Young gets the 50-pound bag over for 5 points. He went first. He had kind of a boxing-type warm-up, like a shuffle, which I really liked. He had a good throw at 50, but his 55 wasn't that close. 50-pound bag for Jeff Lee as well, sharing 5 points. He hit the bottom of the bar, then he got the 50 to go over on the second attempt. Nick Camby shares that 5 points as well. So the first event where Nick is kind of mid-pack, 50-pound bag goes over on attempt 4 for him. So a lot of perseverance for Nick Camby. One of them actually got stuck up there for almost a second before falling back down. He actually tried to catch it. It hit him in the face. So all kinds of drama for Nick Camby. Johnny was doing well in this event, so he gets 8 points for getting a 55-pound bag over. He went second. He short arms it, so a lot of the guys would tell you, like if you watch Thor practice this in his gym where he throws it up to the second floor of his gym, it's full extension. Johnny was short arming it and using all wrist action to get it over, so very interesting technique there. Frank Provenzano, the fellow gym trainer with Johnny Was, also gets 8 points for 55-pound bag there. His 45 got stuck but fell over. His 50 was cleaner, and he gets 55. Tommy Sharp shares 8 points, 55-pound bag. Great throw at 55. You can see that his height is helping him. It's not swinging as low, so it's already, when it's on its way up, it's already starting higher. He probably would have even had a 60, but he hit the bottom of the bar and then ran out of time. And then James Deffenbaugh wins this event, 60-pound bag for 10 points for him, and I'll show you some photos. His throwing was incredible. He was making these bags fly high over the rafter. It seems to be his go-to event. He hit the bar on the way up on the 60, then went under and kind of far back, had to run back and grab it, then he got it over for the solo points win. That's how the bag over bar shook out at America's Strongest Man 2021 middleweights. Let's have a look at the Husafell stone, or what I call the shield carry. Husafelds are edged and diamond shaped, and this was real smooth and real wide and 360 pounds. And what I'll say is the middleweights did a lot better with this than the heavyweights, who only had a 40-pound heavier shield to carry. So very interesting. I'll have to talk to some of the guys and see why that is. Tyler Young comes away with 2 points. He has 112 feet. So as I said, even the lowest scoring middleweights walked really far with this thing. And they were, I think I calculated 28-foot length, so they have to go, turn around, come back, go, turn around, come back. And as you'll notice in some of my notes, some of what the announcer was saying were distances that are more than what the scoreboard ended up saying, but I think the scoreboard in the end was in fact correct when you compare how far guys went compared to each other. Frank Provenzano comes away with 3 points, 144 feet. 4 points to Jeffrey Lee, who went 169 feet 2 inches. He went last versus Nick Camby. He held his initial pick in his lap position for quite a while, restarted once along the way, but laborious the whole time for him, but still went 169 feet plus, so amazing. Matt Muller goes 192 feet 9 inches. These distances are crazy to me for something this unwieldy and this heavy. He went first. He did 8+ laps. And then we go to Johnny Was, who went 205 feet 3 inches. So now ending on 2 consecutive really good events in this competition for him. He could have gone even further, but he walked off the path and kind of rolled his ankle a little bit on the edge, making him drop it. Nick Camby goes 224 feet, had the luxury of going last and kind of knowing what he had to beat. He went versus Jeff Lee. He was going off the edge on both sides multiple times, but adjusted every time, kept it. He was grabbing it almost at the very bottom apex, so ideal for keeping it from slipping, but in front of your face the whole time, which is maybe why he was going off the path. 8 points go to Alex Bromley, 296 feet 3 inches. He went third against Tommy Sharp. He made up distance and then passed him after 6 laps. But Tommy Sharp comes away with 9 points and passes him in the end. 298 feet 3 inches. He went too far on his first lap, but there's no penalty that makes you stop because of that. The announcer, as I mentioned, said 349 feet 3 inches for him. The scoreboard says 298 feet 3 inches, which sounds more reasonable given that he barely beat Alexander Bromley, who's 2 feet less than that. And 10 points go to James Deffenbaugh, who has 2 big-time performance events in this competition. 312 feet 2 inches for James. He went 13+ laps, 2 rests into his lap position, breathing smoothly the whole time, and really went very, very far. They said he went 369 feet 2 inches, but again, scoreboard being correct doesn't change the points. So that's how the Husafell carry shook out at America's Strongest Man 2021. Let's have a look at the overall placings. Starting off, Nate Bowling comes away in 10th place with 11 points. 9th place goes to Matt Muller with 17 points. 8th place goes to Johnny Waz, finishing strong with 20.5 points. 7th place goes to Tyler Young with 27 points. 6th place goes to Alexander Bromley, and if you haven't checked out his social media, you should. It's very informative. 34.5 points for Alex. 5th place goes to New Jersey's own Frank Provenzano with 38 points. 4th place goes to Tommy Sharp with 39 points, who did very well in this competition. And here's your podium. 3rd place goes to Jeffrey Lee, returning from a big absence in Strongman to make 39.5 points, just edging out Tommy Sharp for the podium placing. 2nd place goes to James Deffenbaugh, who did awesome in the bag over bar and the Husafell carry, 45 points for him. And your winner in the middleweights, probably not surprising given how he's stomping through the division all year long, Nicholas Camby, 50.5 points for Nick Camby. Congratulations to Nick Camby, James Deffenbaugh, Jeffrey Lee on the podium, and everybody else for their amazing performances at America's Strongest Man 2021, ASM 2021, middleweights. And of course, as always, until next time, ciao, homie.